How long do you like waiting your turn when you're playing a skirmish game? Games like Kill Team, Cyberpunk Red, Combat Zone, Necromunda, those types of games. Well, for the last 2 years, since January 2023, I've tucked myself away on this project and I've developed an original IP to solve some of these issues. In most cyberpunk worlds, it's all neon lights, sleek skyscrapers, and pristine technology. But in Net City Runners, we've ditched the chrome for rust and grit. Picture this. America didn't chase the dream of clean, the utopian tech. Instead, it decided to double down on its industrial roots. While places like Japan soared ahead with advanced AI and fusion reactors, their ambition led to their downfall, a catastrophic chain reaction that wiped them off the map. Now, it's uninhabitable. The world panicked, turning back to what was reliable. Oil, pistons, and combustion engines roared back to life. America, with its highways soaked in grease and cities fueled by oil rigs, became the global powerhouse. This isn't your clean, hyper-tech future. It's a world of roaring muscle cars, industrial robots powered by hydraulic pistons, and cities connected by sprawling, rusted megastructures. It's cyberpunk, but America to the core, gritty, rough, and unapologetically raw. You'll dive into this fractured world where technology is no longer about perfection, but about survival. The game's mechanics reflect this brutal, industrial age where control over the streets can mean life or death. Welcome to Guys Night Gaming, where we play games and make things. Today we're talking about a game I've kept in the dark for 2 years, in silent development by myself. I call it Net City Runners right now, but the name is likely going to change. It's a skirmish game. It takes heavy inspiration from games like Cyberpunk 2020, the tabletop RPG, other skirmish games that I've played and studied, and also Magic the Gathering. I'm dubbing it a Deckbound Skirmish game. I won't be presenting any gameplay in this particular video, but going over the concept of the game and the system in short, as well as providing links to download and print for the rules and the cards that we have so far. If you want to see gameplay, however, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification down below. We'll be doing that and as we go through the development of this game. Now, let's take a few seconds and I'll tell you about it. So what's different about my game that I'm developing that makes it stand out from the crowd besides the setting? So the setting's obviously a little different than normal cyberpunk, which is typically very heavily Japanese inspired, where I'm going more of American tone for it. For this game, there's a few different things I want to go over quickly to kind of make it stand out. A never before seen initiative system in a skirmish game that I know of anyways. So NCR is taking on the task of eliminating the you go, I go slog that skirmish games can be presenting at sometimes. This allows for each player to take their actions at the same time is the goal. So no more waiting your turn. This also will up the ante for dynamic gameplay when you're playing with each other, and you'll have to read your opponent's next move carefully with your next moves. I'm branding this style of game as a deck-bound skirmish game, meaning that you'll need to have a deck to get the most out of the game. I've developed a unique deck-building skirmish play system for the game. Your deck can synergize with your gang in many ways. It can be different for every match you play, making the gameplay dynamic and a mental challenge for your opponents. Extreme character customization. So the gangers that you decide to play will never have to be the same. The system I've created allows you to play the game with the same general builds, but you can modify the play style of those builds, while at the same time giving each gang a very unique feel, but not balance it so much that the gangs start to play the samey same. These things end up creating a true fast-paced skirmish game. The ways I've made NCR faster than most other games is by bringing the number of models required down to 3 a person and making combat very deadly. And that inspiration comes from Cyberpunk 2020. The combat mimics that same lethality that Cyberpunk 2020, the tabletop RPG combat system, provides. And if you've ever played that game, you know what I'm talking about. So let's go over these in more detail. Note, however, everything I say here is in the works. Things are bound to change as we develop the game. Let's get into it. So the initiative system, some of the details. I built an initiative system that will do 3 things, I think. Hopefully that's the goal anyways. It eliminates the you go, I go gameplay. It speeds up the gameplay, and most importantly, it creates a more dynamic gameplay loop. Each player has 3 actions that they can perform: an attack, a move, and a grid action. Each player will keep these action cards face down and place them below their character profile cards. Placing an action card below a character means that the character will be performing that particular action when the round starts. Actions are performed from left to right as far as characters go, and then each player will flip their first action card simultaneously, and then the second simultaneously, and the third, and perform those actions and continue down the line. And then once you've done all 3 actions, that's a round. So the Deckbound Skirmish idea, the player's deck is a huge part of the gameplay loop. This is where you get a lot of customization. Cards are made up of what I call consideration and split-second cards. These represent both the considered and thoughtful actions one might deploy in a fight, and actions that are almost natural or split-second or second nature. Card costs are tied to a resource called bandwidth, and a character can only expend so much bandwidth before they run out for the round, so choose what cards to use wisely. Players can customize the deck size of 20 cards and hold a hand of 5 cards to play for the round, replenishing their hand at the end of the round. Each game lasts 5 rounds. So consideration cards are chosen before the action is taken by both players. You can play any amount of consideration cards as long as you have the bandwidth for them. You place them face down on the board. They being flipped over only when the action starts. After the action starts, only split-second cards can be played at that point. So, do you use all your bandwidth on your character's turn? Or do you save some of that bandwidth and then play an extra card on the next character's turn? So you can adjust play that way as well. Character customization. Net City Runners has a set standard character profiles. So I went with a balanced, a fast, a heavy, and a defense. After determining your team, you then pick your faction, which will enable faction abilities, adjust character profile stats, and give special bonuses for some gang cards tied to your specific gang. After your faction is selected, it's time to select armor, weapons, and cyberware for your character. All these being able to be different and customize your character. This allows for so much customization for your gang. The play will be very dynamic. But when picking cyberware, specifically, you have to be careful because I've developed it so cyberware decreases a stat for your character called humanity. And if your humanity drops too much, your character will go cyber psycho. And trust me, you don't want to do that. So fast-paced gameplay. Once the game flow starts, the flow and deadliness of the game should go by pretty fast. This is the goal anyway with these rules, and we'll get there. Simultaneous actions, quick card play, and deadly attacks should mean fun, fast, and unique games. So ultimately, what are my plans for this game? So this is definitely a passion project. For a type of game I want to see and play. Currently, I'm in a very early stage of development. Many of the rules and the gameplay will be changing along the way to improve the game overall, and I'm hoping to take a lot of feedback from an interested community. So what I need is input from the gaming community, play testers, feedback, and everything else. I want to build this game to be something the skirmish community can get behind and get excited to see on the market. Eventually, hopefully going on Kickstarter at some point. So I'll be posting regular updates now that I've put this out there on this channel specifically and on my Discord. I'll be posting battle reports and rule testing as well. The rules and the cards will always be free to the public, even through launch and after launch, to download and print to play. So please share this with all your friends, your local friendly gaming store, and any other gamers, whether they play video games or not. I just need it to get out there and to get it in other people's hands and get play tested. I need that feedback. All in all, I've probably kind of built it up in my head a bit, but it's been extremely nerve-wracking to actually put this idea out in the public, as I'm unsure of the reception of this kind of game or the setting. But I'm going for it no matter what. And I hope you do decide to come along the development journey with me, as you'll be a big part of it as the community out there. So please share this video, comment below if you have questions. I'd be happy to answer them. Like the video and subscribe and hit the bell down there to come along on the ride. It feels good to get this actually out, and I can't wait to hear about some play testing, hopefully. At least my local group will be for sure. And I do look to get it on Tabletop Simulator at some point. But that is it for this week. I hope you learned something. I hope you play something. And I will see you next time.